Hello and welcome to week 5 of the St. Joe's NFL preview, as well as our picks for this week's games. We got a couple sick members, so we apologize for how this episode may come out, but we're going to get right into the games. We had an episode previously for the Colts Broncos game, of course. Will, very happy about the win there. So am I. I picked them in our previous episode. First game for tomorrow's slate, 9:30 a.m. Once again, we are back in London for the Giants at the Packers. So, Kath, you got this game on the New York side of things. Can Saquon keep this up and possibly be a candidate for that OPOY award?
Yeah, I think the Giants, are completely dependent on how Saquon plays, and especially this being his second year off that ACL tear. I think he's here and he's here to stay. I think people really look at him like he's injury prone, and even last year's accident I think was a freak accident. He just stepped on a guy's foot and turned his ankle. But yeah, I think Saquon, coming into the league, we knew how talented he was, and I think he's definitely a candidate for Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, not to mention that O line is actually helping him out this year. He's not out there stranded. Andrew Thomas is one of the best O linemen in the league so far this season. So finally getting some help with the O line, and now you're seeing what he's able to do with that. And on the Packers side of things, why was it so difficult for them to beat a third string quarterback in that Patriots game?
Um, Even though he's a third string quarterback, Bailey Zapp, I really don't see him as too much different from Mac Jones. I mean, in a Bill Belichick offense, it's really irrelevant how a QB is, how talented he is. I feel like you just got to fit in Belichick's system, and I think Zap fit perfectly in that system, and the Packers are still working their way back, and they've had even though their record doesn't show it, I think a slow start. So yeah, they had difficulty beating a Patriots team without its starting QB, but I don't see a huge gap between their third stringer and their first stringer.
And I saw some reactions there from Jack and Will. So, Kath, you said there's not that big of a difference between Bailey Zapp and Mac Jones.
I don't think so. Listen, I think I've said this a lot, and I think Mac Jones is not a good QB. I think he is a bad QB. I think the only thing keeping him alive is the fact that he's in a Bill Belichick offense.
Oh, see for me right there, that makes zero sense because there is no Bill Belichick offense. Bill
Yeah,
Belichick is a
it's a Bill
defensive
Belichick
coach, so
defense.
Yeah, but Bill Belichick, I think, is a great system coach, and even the way he uses his offensive schemes, I think he sets up his quarterback for success a lot. Even though he's a defensive minded coach, he's not incompetent offensively, and I think he's proven that already. Even though he's had like obviously one the best QB ever before, but I think he's still a great coach, and he does a great job of making bad to average quarterbacks look startable, and I think that's exactly what he's done with Mac Jones.
Kath, are we calling Tom Brady a bad to average quarterback? Is that what's going on right here?
I think that's
No,
what
I'm
I think
saying
that's what he's saying.
no. Listen, do not
I don't
take my
know. I
words
don't
out
know,
of
Sikat.
context. I said Tom Brady was the GOAT literally less than a minute ago, but I'm saying that Bill Belichick also does a good job making bad quarterbacks look good, like Mac Jones
Oh,
or Bailey
I
Zapp.
don't think he's a bad QB. Like he's a
yeah,
serviceable average QB, and Belichick average like he elevates his game.
yeah. For me, Mac Jones has been and always will be an average quarterback. He's not going to get much better, but he's also not going to get any worse. I think he's always going to be in that top 15 range.
He's
Will, do you
better
Yeah,
agree with that?
than Zap or whatever the guy's name
yeah,
is.
it's better. I mean, and Bailey Zapp's not even the third stringer. In that game he was a fourth stringer, but like they had a wide receiver starting over him. Like a wide receiver starting over him, a quarterback. Like he's not like it's not a. There's a difference between Bailey Zapp and Mac Jones. I mean, you can't say Mac Jones isn't a good quarterback. He's an average quarterback. He's gonna do the job. Like last week, you said that Tom Brady could do whatever he want wherever he is, and then you come here and say that like Mac Jones is balling because of his coach. I don't know. It just is so different from what you said last week. I
No,
think
but,
this
but I've
Mac
said,
Jones
I've
hate
said Tom
is
Brady
not
has
true.
proven himself. Tom Brady has proven himself that he is not dependent on Bill Belichick.
So,
I
so
think
Mac Jones, in your eyes, will always be bad until he plays for another team's.
I think
Is that what
if he plays for another team, there will be a significant difference in his output.
So no matter how Mac Jones plays, if he's on the Patriots, he's a bad quarterback. That Bill Belichick is making him look good.
No, I think if he leaves the Patriots, he's gonna have to come prove himself. But right now, as the way it stands right now, I think he's a average to bad quarterback, and I think the only thing that's making him look usable is the fact that he's in a Bill Belichick offense.
All right, yeah, I think we'll have a lot of people disagreeing with that at home, but we're gonna move on to the next game. We'll start off with the 1:00 slate. We have the 2-2 Chargers at the 2-2 Browns. We are missing our dear freshman Brian Burke today, so we're gonna be taking over some of his games. This would have been his first. I'll be talking about this one on the Charger side of things. People are wondering, can they ever really be legit contenders with how their defense is playing? For me, I don't know if they can. Their defense is bottom 3 in points allowed per game. They're allowing 27 points per game this season. Their offense is in the top 5, but with the defense being that bad, I don't know if you could ever really get a contender out of the Chargers, especially with how good the AFC is playing. Guys, do you have any disagreements with that? I know Herbert is a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback, but this defense is just atrocious.
Yeah. They played a great game last week. Eckler with 3 TDs, and the offense was rolling, and it does feel like the defense is just holding them back.
Yeah, and I don't know how you give up that many points to the Texans, except if you're the Colts. But yeah, it was bad defensively for the Chargers, and I think the only thing that keeps this team as a contender is their offense.
Yeah, I mean, like, didn't they pick up like Khalil Mack?
Yeah,
Am I wrong? And they've Joey Bosa. Like,
Derwin James is back.
I thought that duo coming off the edge.
J.C. Jackson in there too.
Yeah, J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel, who they just drafted.
I mean, I thought that duo on the edge was gonna be great. I mean, I thought J.C. Jackson was a top 5 corner last year. Like,
yeah,
where did this all go? I guess their D corner is just that bad.
It
they
really
have so
makes
much
sense.
talent on the field. I thought they were gonna be great defense.
Yeah, in the free agency with all the moves they were making and how their defense played decently well last year, people were thinking that the Chargers might be the favorites in the AFC, even with the Chiefs and the Bills and other teams like that. But I mean, this year the defense just somehow they're not coming together and they're just falling apart, and it's really detrimental to this team right now as they're sitting at 2-2. They're going to be at the Cleveland Browns, and for the Browns, they've had a very nice start without Deshaun Watson. But will they start to struggle now that they have a tougher schedule? For me, I believe they will. They played the Panthers, who they beat. They lost to the Jets, and they beat the Steelers, and they lost to the Falcons. Those are 4 very not good teams. I don't want to call them bad. No, they are bad. Those are 4 very bad teams. Now they're playing the Chargers, who I know we said the defense is struggling, but once again, Jacoby Brissett is not going to be a world ender against the defense. They got the Patriots, the Ravens, the Bengals coming up, the Dolphins, Bills, Bucks. These are some incredible teams they have coming up. And that 2-2 record looks okay since they don't have Deshaun Watson, but Jacoby Brissett, I believe, will start to fall apart against some of these much more talented teams. Moving on to the next game, we have the Bears, who are 2-2 at the Minnesota Vikings. And for the Bears, why aren't Chicago letting Fields throw the ball? For me, he's simply playing just horrendous. He's 32nd in yards. He's 30th in quarterback rating. He has 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in 4 games. He has the worst passing grade according to PFF. Also, the run game has been pretty good for Chicago. Khalil Herbert is playing very well. They have 2 top 10 run blocking receivers, actually, in Equanimeous St. Brown and Darnell Mooney. And also, the team is still 2-2. So at no point should they try and stray away and experiment with new things when technically they still have a chance.
Yeah. And then you asked why are they not letting Justin Herbert throw the ball? It's because he sucks. He's hot dog water. He's bad. He's horrible. They need to do something. They need to bench him. I don't know. He's bad. They need to move on already, I think.
Yeah, I hope you're talking about Justin Fields there, by the way.
Yeah, Fields.
I think Justin Herbert's kind of
2 very different quarterbacks.
Yeah,
you know what I meant. You know what I meant.
Can't throw the football, and yeah, that's about it. And also, want to correct you. He's not 32nd in yards. He's 33rd. So somewhere,
I said 32nd among starting quarterbacks, to be fair.
yeah, he's 33rd. So somewhere there's a backup quarterback. I don't know who it is.
It's
It might
Bailey
be-
Zapp.
It's Bailey Zapp. But
Hey, maybe Dak is still above him too. Who knows?
No,
No,
That
Dak
or
was
Teddy-
pretty
Teddy
atrocious
too
in his
close.
first game.
I don't know, but he's just
and they're
terrible.
2-2. Come on.
Like
I
they
don't
just
know how
got to
they're
start
2-2.
running a high school football offense, like where they just quarterback sneak every play.
Yeah.
Because he cannot throw the football.
Yeah, the Bears are passing it the least amount of times out of every single NFL team. And I mean, that's probably why he's so low in yards, but he's also 30th in quarterback rating and also has the worst passing grade according to PFF. So not only is he not throwing it often, when he does, it's been atrocious. Whether it's his fault, the O-line's fault, the passing game is just not working for Chicago.
Yeah, and Ben, going into the season, I really thought Darnell Mooney was gonna have his breakout season finally, and it's just been disappointing to see how he's being underutilized, I think, and he's getting absolutely no volume. You have talent like that. Obviously, they paid huge draft capital for Justin Fields, and he hasn't been delivering in making those receivers better. I think this Bears team is just bad right now, and I think their record is completely fraudulent.
Yeah, for me personally, it might be a little bit of a hot take, but I think we're seeing how Trevor Lawrence is playing right now in Jacksonville because of all those tools around him. They're really trying to make him successful down there. I don't think Chicago is doing nearly the same thing that Jacksonville is doing with Trevor Lawrence, giving him weapons and pieces. The O-line is atrocious. So yes, Fields is not playing great, but also how good could he really play in a situation like this in just his second year as an NFL quarterback, guys?
Yeah, just not really. I mean, there's no situation in the what is it, the Bears? I mean, they just kind of throw him on the field and hope for the best. They don't surround him with anything. I mean, the defense is pretty average. I don't even know if they're doing well. I don't care about the Bears. I don't watch their games. I don't watch their stats. But there's nothing around him. I mean, Aquimus St. Brown's their wide receiver 2.
Yep.
It's
Great
just
run
like,
blocker.
Yeah, he's a good run blocker. That's like I don't even care anymore. Like they got Matt Nagy. They have so much they need to fix, and they know they can't fix it right now. So
Yeah, you almost feel bad for Fields. Maybe he's already on that bus train, whether it's his fault or not. It kind of seems like he's on that trajectory, and unless something drastic changes in Chicago. But moving on to Minnesota, they are 3-1 right now, coming off a big win against New Orleans. And in that game, it was a shootout all the way to the end. Justin Jefferson also is very back after a weird 2-game stretch where he only had 9 catches for 62 yards combined in those 2 games. But now in this game, he has 1 more catch. He's got 10 catches and now 147 yards against the Saints. He also had the game-sealing catch to get the Vikings in field goal range to win the game, where Greg Joseph got a 47-yard field goal to win the game against New Orleans in New Orleans. For Vikings fans, the game was closer, a lot closer than they would have wished against a team like the Saints. But hey, a win is a win. The Vikings are 3-1, and they're looking very good to start the year.
Yeah, and I think Kevin O'Connell is starting to realize that Justin Jefferson's output changes a lot based on how he's being utilized. In that first game of the season, he was being used in the slot in the backfield as the X receiver. But in those 2 games, he was really matched up one-on-one with guys like you gotta help me out. The guy on the Lions corner.
Jeff Okudah.
Jeff Okudah, yeah.
Asante Samuel on the Chargers.
Yeah, and that he was matched up one-on-one with them, and he just really could not get going. So I think Kevin O'Connell started realizing that, when he moves Justin Jefferson around, that really changes how he plays, and he's just so much more lethal that way.
Yeah, they said they wanted to put him in a Cooper Kupp type role where he plays the slot, he plays the outside, even a little bit of a Deebo Samuel type thing going on. And I think this game and the very first game of the season, we really saw that. So hopefully they can keep him in that role the rest of the season, because that's where we really see Justin Jefferson to his fullest potential. We're going to move on to the next game of the 1 o'clock slate. 2 1-3 teams, so not a great looking game. Jack, I'll give you this one. We got the Lions, who are 1-3, at the New England Patriots, also 1-3. And for the Lions, give us a quick game recap of their previous game in Week 4.
Yeah, I think we first want to point out a scoregami. Let's celebrate 48-5 against the Hawks. After that, I mean, Golf has just looked amazing this season. 378 yards, 4 TDs last game. That's just, I mean, of course he has that great O-line, so it's probably the reason why he's doing so good. But he's just having a great season with that. Hawkinson had a great game for fantasy owners. He's starting to look like a weapon. But we need to just put all of our attention on this Lions defense. They have not given up under 24 points this year. Something needs to change with that defense. It's just looked really, really bad this year. And I just got one more thing to point out. Everybody was saying that Jeff Okudah is starting to do better. And then DK Metcalf said in his press interview that he's going to expose him, that the safety helps him out a lot. And then DK Metcalf has his best game of the season. So I don't think Jeff Okudah is actually that good.
Okay, well, DK Metcalf's huge game was really dependent on one huge play. He only had like 4 catches, I believe. So he had a great game, but I really think Jeff Okudah's taken a big step from last year. Obviously, he's getting a lot of help from the safety, but I don't really like DK Metcalf taking shots when his best game of the season is 4 receptions.
Yeah, I mean, like football's not like you rarely see a cornerback just one-on-one, like no safety help, no linebacker help, nothing. So of course there's going to be some safety help. And second of all, he's a second-year rookie. He's still learning like the NFL and like how to work through it. There's going to be safety help. So I don't want to give too much hate to Jeff Okudah. I still do think he's a baller, and I mean I think if he keeps it up, he could help bring this Lions team to something. I mean, their defense has been terrible, but he's kind of shining. So,
yeah, that Lions offense is I think one of the best in the league. I'd say that very lightly because I think they really they have a momentum and they're going. I think the run game is really hard to stop, especially with that O-line. And when healthy, they have that 1-2 punch with Swift and Williams. I think it's okay. I'll take it back as one of the best offenses in the league. Definitely one of the most dangerous offenses in the league when they're going.
Sure. Also, I mean, right when you made that awful take, you started lagging out. So maybe that's a sign.
What's worse, his quality or his takes?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's a sign for you to stop giving out takes.
His wife, I didn't even want it to go through.
No, I was saying basically when Swift and Williams are going with that O-line, I think they're one of the most dangerous teams in the league, and I think that they're really when they get it going, they're really hard to stop, and I think that Lions team is really great offensively.
No, they definitely are, and I believe right now they are first in offensive points per game and dead last in defensive points per game allowed. So kind of 2 ends of the spectrum for the Lions. Hopefully they can improve that defense. But right now the offense is cooking. So maybe we see a bit of a playoff push for the Lions. Don't want to throw that out too early, but could be fun in Detroit. Jack, I'll throw it to you back for the New England game recap for Week 4.
Yeah, so Kath already talked about the Patriots and the Packers, but I think we all just realize the Patriots, they have the fight in them. It's Belichick. They're always going to keep these games close, even if it's Bailey Zappe playing as QB. They're just Belichick has shown why he's not Brady made, as you guys were talking before. And Bailey Zappe actually played pretty well. I mean, 10 completions out of 15 attempts, 100 yards and a TD. I don't know much to talk about this team. The only way this team could really be good is if the defense just plays amazing. The offense could put up 14 to 20 points a game. Then I could see them going up in the AFC East. But right now the Jets are looking better.
Yeah, and a team like New England, they're never going to be bad enough to get something like a top 5 pick because Belichick is at the helm at that head coach position. But with this team that he's working with right now, they are. I think all of us agree they're not good enough to even get close to a playoff push. So they're going to be in a weird spot, not making the playoff, but also not bad enough to get a top draft pick. So it's going to be a rough season, likely for New England fans. We're going to move on to the next game. Will, you have the Texans who are 0-3-1 at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And for the Texans, can we talk a little bit about how Dameon Pierce played last week?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a breakout game. You can look back and say it was a 75-yard touchdown run, but I mean, you take a step back even further. He did have a great game without that. I mean, just what was it, 14 carries, 98 yards, or something around that, or I think it might be like 118. But I mean, he's been just really good. I mean, he's working with a not so great offensive line, a not so great team around him. Outside of Brandon Cooks, not really many weapons, and he really hasn't gotten the volume fantasy owners and even just the NFL is like expected to see out of him. A lot of people are seeing that in the closer games, Rex Burkhead has been going in more because they don't really have like 100% faith in Damian Pierce. But I think as the season goes on, you see more of him, and he's just going to keep on progressing. I mean, he's really a great running back. Everybody was saying after week 1 and 2 that he was just like overhyped in preseason. But I mean, he's come out and just shown it. And he keeps on getting better every week. I have a lot of faith in him. I mean, he's a really, really good running back.
Yeah, and well, the team is 0-3-1, so why even like be wondering like, oh, is Rex Burkhead better for right now? Just keep feeding Damian Pierce. He's the young guy. He's the guy that could get better. You're not going to be making any type of playoff push. Or just see what kind of young weapons you have, just for the future of your team. Because don't focus on this year. It's really not worth it. I know we're only 4 weeks in, but it's the Texans once again. So just see what kind of pieces you have.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying that they keep Rex Burkhead in. He's a better passing threat, but I don't even see that being a problem. I mean, there's really no, as you said, there's no reason to be leaning on Rex Burkhead. He's been in the league since like 1905. He's just really, really old and not good. I don't know. Just give the ball to Damian Pierce and let it work out.
It's a good way to end it. Rex Burkhead is really old and not good.
105.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on to the Jaguars, who are currently 2-2. Bit of a unexpected start, but not a one that Jaguars fans are complaining about. And with that 2-2 start, are the Jaguars possibly contenders? Not contenders for the AFC Championship, but contenders for the playoffs, or are they just pretenders and this is still the same Jaguars we know and love?
Well, they're definitely a lot better than pretenders, and I'll even go as far as saying they might be contenders. I mean, what's his name? Quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence.
There you go, Trevor Lawrence. He's I mean, just I said it before, and I'll keep saying it. He's so improved. Christian Kirk, he's proving that his outrageous contract is worth it. Not an easy thing to do. And I mean, their offense as a whole is just playing very good. Their defense is playing good football. Miles Jack has been amazing. And I mean, Josh Allen at defense might be the better Josh Allen in the league. I said no, he's not, but he's playing really, really well. I mean, he terrorizes the Colts, and he's doing more than that this year. So I think they're contenders. As you said, not for AFC chip, but they could definitely kind of make a push to the playoffs.
And Jack, I saw you had a bit of a reaction to when Will said that Christian Kirk is worth that contract. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, there's players worth the max contract of the receiver, like Adams, Kupp, Jefferson, all those players, they're worth that. Christian Kirk is not near their level. He's a good player. He's not worth that max contract. I think he's playing well with Lawrence, but not near them.
He's proving it's not as bad as people thought it was in the offseason. But yeah, still, I'm going to agree with you. I don't think he's lived up to that contract just yet. But hey, maybe that connection with Lawrence gets just a little bit better as the season goes on. We're going to have to see for Jacksonville. So, Kath, I'll throw it to you for the next 1 o'clock game. We have the 2-2 Seahawks at the 1-3 Saints. For the Seahawks, should they feel comfortable with Geno Smith being their guy for the next few years?
For now, I'm not really worried about Geno. I mean, he's looking really technically sound, and that's really surprising. Thinking of that guy who was quarterback in New York, I was really surprised even last year when Russell Wilson was hurt and Geno was immediately thrown into that Steelers game. I was really surprised with how he looked in just that game, getting a touchdown to DK. I think he's much more technically sound, and I think people really counted the guy out, but he's a quarterback in this league that I'm not concerned about right now.
Yeah, he has played exceptionally well. And some might make the argument that he's playing better than Russell Wilson. Not some. I think everyone will make the argument that
Yeah, I
man,
think
hey,
I think
yeah,
it might have been an upgrade for the Seahawks trading away Wilson and then all of those picks on top of it.
yeah, hey,
I think, yeah,
you get a few first rounders and you get a younger, possibly better quarterback. It's not a bad deal for Seattle fans and the Seattle club. For the Saints, they are currently 1-3, and despite the loss, Andy Dalton showed up. So could Dalton win the job with another great performance this week?
absolutely not. I think Jameis Winston, sorry, is the undisputed QB of this team, and I think the Saints. As a Saints fan, I had a lot of faith going into the season with Michael Thomas coming back and Alvin Kamara reaching that 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 cliff that running backs reach, and then with drafting a guy like Chris Olave and then a really good defense, I had a lot of hope, and you know 1-3 is really not as good as I was expecting. So I think you just got to keep going to Jameis Winston. He's the more talented guy, and he's the guy who I think can really win those offensive battles.
Yeah, Will and Jack, I saw you both shaking your head no. Will, I'll throw it to you first. Some thoughts on what Saket just said.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Jameis Winston is just really cocky, and he wants to be like that guy. I mean, we saw he threw 30 picks. He wants to throw the ball downfield. He wants to be the man, but so does Kamara, so does Mike Thomas, and Chris Olave is kind of starting to get there. They all want to be the guy on the offense, and it doesn't work out. I don't see the team working together. I saw it with Andy Dalton. I mean, he just kind of filled in and did his job, and I liked what he did a lot more than Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston tries to do way too much. I mean, he tore his ACL and was dancing in the locker room. He does way too much. I think that Saints might be better off. Sure, Jameis Winston's a better quarterback, but I think they'll have a better season with Andy Dalton behind center.
I think we haven't seen the team fully healthy at once yet to kind of categorize this team as not clicking. I think we got to give him some time. We got to give him a game or two with the team fully healthy, and then you can make decisions like that. But I think right now, if you're the Saints, you got to give it another game or two before you, I think, throw your season away by giving it to Dalton.
Jack, is there anything you wanted to add on to what Will just said?
Yeah, I think the Saints were way better a couple years ago with Breeze when he was just doing checkdowns to Kamara and the 5 to 10 yard receptions to Michael Thomas. And Winston just doesn't do that anymore. So with Dalton doing that with Kamara and Thomas, giving him the checkdowns to Kamara and receptions to Thomas, I think that'll work way better than Winston just trying to throw the ball everywhere and be cocky like Will said.
Yeah, but I mean, Jack, I like that you agree with me, but we can't be comparing Drew Brees to Jameis Winston.
No.
I mean, what are we doing?
No, I'm saying that Andy Dalton is closer to Drew Brees than Winston is.
I agree with what you're saying there, but I think
offense.
I think
I
Jameis
agree with what you're saying. It's just
I think Jameis Winston adds a whole new fold to this team that we didn't see with Breeze. I mean, with Breeze, every time the Saints wanted to do something different, they had to bring in Taysom Hill, and they even subbed in Jameis Winston a couple plays a game just to get those deep balls. And I think, if you have a guy like Drew Brees that really took that out of the game, and I think with Andy Dalton, he's going to be afraid to take some risks that Jameis is going to take.
Oh yeah, of course Drew Brees is better than Jameis Winston. I'm just saying that Andy Dalton is more systematically better in that offense than Jameis Winston will ever be.
Yeah, I mean, but Saket, I feel like the Saints have completely thrown away their season because Jameis Winston tries to be risky. I think risky is not what they need. They have the playmakers to not be risky. They have a great wide receiving core. You don't need a guy to haul the ball 50 yards downfield. They don't have any deep threats on their team. Maybe Olave. I mean, Landry kind of fits it, but they have Michael Thomas just running across the middle the whole time. You don't need a guy.
Listen, the Saints have plenty of guys who stretch the field, and I think,
but they don't. But they don't need to do that. Wait, who stretches the field on the Saints?
We got Olave. Callaway stretches the field.
Callaway's a fifth stringer.
He's not a fifth stringer. I think that's just a really deep. I think it's just a really deep receiving core, and Callaway, got a little bit lost in that. But we saw it last year. He was he was the deep threat for this team. I think he's gonna get some reps and he's gonna do fine with Jameis.
Yeah, I do understand what Will and Jack are trying to say is like the last couple of years of Drew Brees' career, he was just like a game manager, and that's pretty much exactly what Andy Dalton is. And the last couple of years of Drew Brees' career, they made the playoffs. So maybe if Andy Dalton could just replicate that for the Saints right now, maybe they start to significantly improve.
Thank you. Yep.
The Saints were much more explosive then too. Okay, I mean
they could be, but
They
either
put, like,
Jameis is going
10
to take him
points
to
a
the
game.
promised land.
Yeah,
They
but the
lost
Saints
the
worked when
Falcons.
Kamara and Thomas were getting the ball.
but that was a consistently healthy Michael Thomas and Kamara, and right now, Kamara is reaching that usage point where he starts to fall apart, and Michael Thomas is already starting with the hamstring stuff, and that's usually the mark of when receivers start leaving the league. So, I think a guy like Andy Dalton is if you compare him to Drew Brees and use him the way Drew Brees was using those guys, I don't think it's gonna work out because those guys are just not explosive anymore.
Yeah, and so Kath, I'm gonna move on to the next game. It's gonna be another one of your games once again. Brian Burke, dearly missed freshman Brian Burke. Wish you could be here with us right now. We got the Dolphins who are 3-1 at the New York Jets who are 2-2. For the Dolphins, are they starting to come back down to earth after a hot 3-0 start?
I think it's more of a consistency thing right now when you have a guy like Tua who all off season, him and Tyreek were working really close, and him and Waddle were working really close together, and then immediately he goes out of the game, and now you bring in a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. It's gonna take some time to get back into rhythm.
Well, you had a bit of a reaction there. You have anything to say, or you want
I
to
was
move
just
on?
a little surprised from the whole fall from grace. I mean, their quarterback he gets lit up. They're like freak accident. This guy might not be coming back for the season. And we got to bring in Teddy Two Gloves, and they barely lose to the Bengals. I mean, that game was close for a minute. I mean, but what a time to bounce back against the Jets. I mean, it's just a bad team in the Jets.
Oh,
Can't wait for the Dolphins to put up 40 against Sauce Gardner.
Well,
Yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
save that.
by
We're gonna save that for the end of the video, and we're also gonna let Saketh talk a little bit on the Jets. Saketh, you want to give us a quick game recap of their Week 4 matchup?
You know what? I'll pass it to my friend Jack because obviously he has a lot to say about the Jets. And obviously, he didn't like Will's take there, so I'll let Jack take that one.
I'll gladly talk about this game. I mean, I won't talk about Zach Wilson's first half performance. It wasn't that great. He was trying to, flow more into the offense. His fourth quarter play was just amazing. He had a great last drive. Him and Brees Hall are working really well. He didn't really use Wilson much, which I don't like. I want him to use Garrett Wilson, but he loves Corey Davis. And I think Wilson had a great week. Saketh hates Zach Wilson, so he probably thinks he had a horrible week, even though the stats said he had a good week. But one thing I saw out of the Steelers, it doesn't matter. Pickett looked very good. The second half was very good. Even though he has tiny hands, he was throwing the ball everywhere against that Jets defense, just not to Sauce Gardner because he's going to lock up Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, Pickett's got tiny hands with a big heart, but that's away from the picture. I'm going to say something about the Jets game. No, it's not an easy game for the Dolphins. The Jets actually are a lot better. They played really well. As Jack said, that second half of the Jets was great. The Wilson connection, Wilson squared. They got to start working on it. But I don't know. The Jets just their defense, their cornerback duo has been just amazing. DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. I think that's going to be a problem for the Dolphins. Those two have been just elite level duo. So I do think this is going to be a harder game for the Dolphins to win, but I think this is a good time for Teddy Two Gloves to show what he could do.
Yeah, and I said this last week, but I think Zach Wilson might take a step up with Giselle Brady entering his life.
Oh God! I mean,
Saketh cannot get over this divorce. This is
an on the field show
right now in the NFL. Saketh, you gotta chill on. Tom Brady has a family right now. This is a man's life.
No. According to his Twitter feed, he no longer has a family. Only
that is his Twitter bio. He did take it out.
Oh, this is brutal. I'm sure when Brady watches the St. Joe's NFL Week 5 preview, he's going to be very angry at UCCath. So some hot takes there. We're going to move on to the next game. We have the Steelers, who are 1-3, at the Buffalo Bills, who are 3-1. And with Kenny Pickett coming in, like Jack said, what can we expect now that he's the cemented quarterback one? Jack said he played great. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, yes, the stats are terrifying, but they don't tell the whole story. I know he had 3 interceptions, but every single interception was either a good throw that a guy like Chase Claypool just didn't catch and it went right to a safety, so it had an unlucky outcome, or it was a Hail Mary type pass, which really those aren't actual interceptions that are knocks on the quarterback. So Kenny really wasn't responsible for any of the picks that he threw. And if he does 100% have the job for the rest of the season, I think that'll give him a major confidence boost. The weapons are there in that Pittsburgh offense. You got Deontay Johnson, Najee, Chase Claypool, and George Pickens. Pickett can really do something in this offense. Will they make a playoff push? It'll be tough, especially since this is his rookie year. But they could with those weapons, like I just said. The defense will obviously need to continue their play so that Kenny is put in good situations. But he does have a very high floor. So the Steelers, I believe, will see immediate improvement from Mitch Trubisky. I know some of you are big Mitch Trubisky fans, but for me, Kenny Pickett is a massive step up in the Steelers offense.
Yeah, and Ben, Kenny Pickett has a special connection with George Pickens already, I think, and then another thing is that he adds another fold to this team rushing wise. He's able to use his legs a lot, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns in his first game. But from a fantasy perspective, I know we don't like to talk fantasy too much, but from a fantasy perspective, I think this really kills Najee Harris. He's not gonna get any of that volume you saw last year anymore with those checkdowns, and I think that really cements a below average season for him. But I think Kenny Pickett is a really big plus to this team, especially with the deep ball. I think the deep ball and those and the QB sneaks and the running play opens up a lot for this offense. And I think guys like George Pickens are really going to be able to step up now.
Yeah, the Steelers are definitely not used to a rushing quarterback. You go from Mitch Trubisky to Ben Roethlisberger. Not a lot of rushing yards between those 2 quarterbacks. Moving on to the Bills, bit of a game recap here. They went down 20-3 near the end of the second quarter against the Baltimore Ravens last week. But Josh Allen and that Bills offense were able to tie the game at 20 late in the third, thanks to 3 straight forced punts by the defense. The defense has arguably been better than the offense this year. I'm here to make that argument. Then Jordan Poyer proceeded to pick off a pass, but then the offense punted. So Jordan Poyer decided to pick off another pass, which then set up the next drive to get Tyler Bass to kick the game-winning field goal. So obviously the offense didn't play incredibly well. The defense had to help them out a lot, but they constantly set them up in great positions. That's why the Bills got that 23-20 victory over the Ravens. And guys, I said before, that Bills defense might be more impressive than the offense. Is that too crazy to say right now?
Yeah.
I think we can't forget these first 2 weeks these Bills put up. I mean, against the Titans and the Rams, they went off just slow in that really hot heat of Miami and the Ravens with a good defense. Let's not forget those first 2 weeks, how they played amazing.
Can we also forget
the defense?
It was like a hurricane again in Raven City over in Baltimore. I mean, it was downpouring. It's going to be a defensive battle. The Bills offense is like the most complete offense we've seen in a while. I mean, besides like the running back, which Singletary's actually filling in really well. He's having a pretty decent season. But their offense is just too good to say their defense is better. That's all I can say.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm even shocked you asked that question, Ben. As a fantasy manager of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, I really thought you'd rank this offense higher. But yeah, I don't think anyone has a doubt in their mind that this offense is what makes them a contender over their defense.
I'm not a homer to my fantasy team or my personal favorite team of the Cowboys. I just actually believe they're a top 5 team. So I mean, I'm a very, very unbiased host here. I'm giving my honest opinions. There's no bias to them at all. Before you guys can prove me wrong, I'm going to move on to the next game very quickly here. Jack, you have the Falcons, who are 2-2 at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What does the Falcons offense look like moving forward? without that star athlete Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, Cordero is very good. He's a very underrated running back. He's going to be out for at least 4 games. And now Pitts is out next week, which doesn't look like that big of an effect because they just don't throw the ball to him. So I think what we should expect out of this offense is Drake London and what's his name? Tyler Algier? That's his name?
Yeah. Tyler
Yeah,
Algier.
I expect he came
Chuck
in.
Algier the fifth.
He came in and he rushed really good last game. So I expect for him to do really good against the Bucs. And other thing about this offense, Mariota, I mean, Mariota sucks. Like he's just like, who cares about him? It's just like it's irrelevant. This offense is just irrelevant. Who really cares about the Falcons?
That is a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, I think this offense, I mean, you kind of ruined it by saying Pitts was out. I was going to have a good thing to say, but next week, this offense has a shot of being better. They might stop blocking this athletic freak named Kyle Pitts. They might run routes with him now that they don't have their running back. So maybe we see a change in one more passing offense now Cordero's gone. And maybe, just maybe, Kyle Pitts catches the pass for one time this season.
I don't think he will because he is currently listed as out for that game. Well, I'm not sure if you
next
knew.
week.
Oh, of
I
course,
know
next
he's
week.
out.
Following week.
The following week.
All right, yeah, we're already in week.
I don't
week
think you're
6 right
catching
now.
any passes either, Chadwick.
Jack, we're gonna move on to the Bucs side of things. They played the Chiefs last week. What happened to that defense letting up 40+ points?
Look, it's the Chiefs, all right? They're like a top 3 offense. Mahomes can make any defense look dumb. He can make the Bills defense look dumb. Chadwick's favorite defense. He's just a mastermind, and anything that Mahomes will do, he'll turn up those defense. Let's not forget about those first 3 games for the Bucs. They only gave up 27 points combined. So I trust Todd Bowles and this defense to move on, scratch that loss, and just look to the next week against the Falcons.
Yeah, hopefully they can. Will, we're going to move on to the last game of the 1 o'clock slate. We have the Tennessee Titans, who are currently sitting at 2-2, traveling to Washington to face the Commanders, who are 1-3. For the Titans, is Derrick Henry back for good now after his last week performance?
Yeah. Oh, no, he's not on the throne, okay? I just saw the banner. No. The throne, he's been dethroned, but he's back to being a top 5 running back.
Dethroned by who?
No.
What running back dethroned him?
Yeah.
Like any running back, Swift. Wait,
Sure.
Swift is healthy.
Swift.
He's a running back.
Swift is the first guy you thought of?
Yes, I mean he's averaging.
Okay, we'll
Nick
say
Chubb,
Saquon's on that throne now. I'd say Saquon's on that throne.
Saquon.
I'd
I'm
agree
fine
with
with
Will.
Saquon. I
I'd
don't
agree
know
with
about-
Will saying King Henry is not on the throne anymore.
I mean, look, King Henry, he's getting his volume back, and he's averaging 4 yards a carry. I mean, he's never done that. He usually just gets like 600 carries and averages like a yard and a half, and gets MVP and gets offensive player of the year from like just volume alone.
But to be fair, this is a significantly worse offense than we've seen before, especially with AJ Brown leaving. There's just no play action threat anymore, and I thought Treylon Burke was gonna get better and better as we got deeper into the season, but now he's on the IR.
Yeah.
So I really think Derrick Henry is gonna be back to where he was a couple weeks ago, especially considering there's no threats. I think your wide receiver 1 is something Phillips now. He's literally a nobody. The Titans have no passing offense. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah, I mean, but also as you said, Chadwick, I mean, you're in love with the Bills defense. So he had a bad game against the Bills defense. There you go. And take that game away. He's had a ridiculously good season. Fantasy owners don't like him because he hasn't gotten the end zone that much. But I mean, he's averaging 4 yards a carry, and he's still getting that crazy good volume. I still think he's a very good running back. I mean, he exploited the Colts defense. Stephon Gilmore can't play all 11 positions. So, I mean, what are we going to say?
Well, at this point, who hasn't exploited the Bills' defense, if we're being honest?
The Broncos? They just put up 9 points.
That's true, yeah.
To be fair, the Colts didn't score either.
The Chiefs couldn't exploit our defense. The Kansas City Chiefs I don't want to
Yeah,
hear from you, Chadwick.
You stopped the Chiefs and the Broncos. You just had a little mishap with the Texans and Jaguars. Will, we're gonna
The
move
Broncos
on.
are horrible. Like, let's not get past it. Like the Broncos. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, but we're talking about the Chiefs are such a good team. They couldn't get past the best corner in football right now.
They're a great
Best
team.
corner in football.
They just didn't feel like winning that game. They thought you guys deserved to win
Yeah,
to
yeah.
start the season off right.
Stephon Gilmore is better than whoever's on the Cowboys. The Cowboys.
Trayvon
What's his
Diggs,
name?
and I completely agree. I couldn't agree more. You have nothing on me there.
Good.
Well, we're gonna move on to the to Washington and their side of things. It's a bit of an odd question, but is there anyone to blame for the start that Washington has had?
I mean, Carson Wentz is playing horrible,
Yep.
but he's also playing by a horrible O line. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really know who to blame. Carson
The
Wentz
Commanders'
is
O
looking like a
line is
half-decent-
32nd in the league right now. So.
Thank you, Sakath. Thank you.
Sakath loves those O line rankings. Always.
I love it. I mean, just what would we do without Sakath? But I mean, Carson Wentz is looking like a half-decent quarterback because of his garbage time performance. I feel like if you took away his garbage time performance, he'd be like 10 for 400 with like 80 picks. He's a nobody. And I don't know. I mean, just the defense is bad. It's just a bad team. It's the Commanders. It's Brian Robertson season now.
Yeah, I have him on my fantasies team, so I definitely appreciate a Brian Robinson breakout. But yeah,
would be an awesome
well,
storyline.
I think at this point, Carson Wentz is slightly underrated. I think, first 2 games, you got to hear me out, Will. First 2 games of the season, right? Carson Wentz looked like a half decent quarterback. But after those 2 games, the Commanders' O-line was 32nd in the league compared to by PFF, and he got sacked 9 times in a game. I really don't know what quarterback is going to have an amazing game getting sacked 9 times.
All I have to put on this matter is just pass the ball to Terry McLaurin. He was my favorite receiver coming out of college, and I love him. He's one of the more skillful receivers in the league. Just pass him the ball.
Right here, I'm showing you is what we like to call garbage time points. Carson Wentz goes down by 29 by what was it? Yeah, 29, and then he proceeds to put up 27 points. I mean, against the Lions defense, it's just garbage time point. He's a bad quarterback. I mean, the Colts are lucky they got anything for him. He just performs after like the 4th quarter.
I think this is just you coping. I honestly think this is just you coping with the loss of Carson Wentz.
Coping?
After Matt Ryan's 10 fumbles in 5 games.
Yes, coping. After Matt Ryan puts up a dud every week.
10 points? Against this defense?
No phones in class. Get out of here.
I just wanted to prove that Carson Wentz is bad, and so are the Cowgirls.
I appreciate that. Well, we're on the Tennessee game, and we somehow go over to the Cowboys being a terrible football team. I really appreciate that segue by you. And I'm going to do another quick segue before we head into the next game of the 4:00 slate. Texas A&M guys, I know this is college football. They were on the Alabama 2-yard line, down by 4 points with 15 seconds left. First down, and they threw a pick, so they lost, and Alabama won.
It's scripted.
This Alabama
scripted.
team.
That's their best
Unranked
Russell
Texas
Wilson.
A&M and the number 1 seed Alabama, and they couldn't do it like they did last year. So very unfortunate. But we are going to move on to the next game since this is an NFL show. Sakath, you have the San Francisco 49ers currently 2-2 at the Carolina Panthers. For the 49ers, in their last game, Joey Bosa had a historic performance.
Yeah. You guys got really, really upset with me last week when I said this 49ers team was a top 5 team right now because of D'Amico Ryan's defense. And I think he's really creatively using Nick Bosa on the line. He's like, there was a couple of plays where Nick Bosa took a second, went to the other side of the line, and still got a sack. So I'm telling you, this D'Amico Ryan defense is legit, and he's really opening up a lot for guys like Nick Bosa and the rest of this defensive line. And I think, it's a historic performance for Bosa, but I'd say it's a historic performance for San Francisco, and you know, I feel like this defense is gonna continually keep this team afloat as they start easing back into that playbook they used last year with Debo and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, just real quick before we move on to Carolina, just so people know exactly what was the historic performance. Joey Bosa tied
Nick
the
Bosa.
record for the most pressures ever in a single game in the PFF era, which dates back to, I believe, 2008. So the past 13 years, he's tied that with Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt. 14 pressures in one game Nick Bosa had, which is beyond impressive. So that's what we were referencing as the historic performance. But yeah, going over to Carolina, we talk about this almost every time we bring them up. Is Baker's time up, Sukath, in Carolina?
Dude, I'd even argue Matt Rule's time is up. Baker and Matt Rule can both take a bus and go to Washington or something, because I don't know, it's getting bad. It's bad. I really think, last week they finally gave Christian McCaffrey the volume he deserves, and the team still did bad. But you know, I'm really concerned with this Carolina team. I mean, they have so many weapons besides quarterback, but Baker Mayfield is just a bad quarterback. I don't know what to say. Every year he goes through this cycle. There's a meme that comes out every year where he does bad, and then he feels underrated, and then he has a good game, and then he makes a State Farm commercial, and then he's bad again. and it happens every year, and every time I think it's finally over, he goes back and disappoints me again. And he's just a bad quarterback, and I think it's time that Baker Mayfield gets written off, and it's time to move on from him. But back to Matt Rule. I hate the way he game plans. I hate the way he does this stuff, because McCaffrey does not get the volume he needs. DJ Moore is getting absolutely no volume. Robbie Anderson is a non-factor at this point. And I feel like this Carolina team has so much untapped potential, but the combination of Baker and Matt Rule are holding this team back.
Yeah, so guys, somehow in those State Farm commercials, Baker, I think he lives in the stadium, and yet he still can't figure out how to play good football at the quarterback position. So Baker Mayfield somehow not figuring it out, even though he's living in the stadium that he plays in, even though it's been a couple different stadiums recently. Jack, we're going to move over to you for the Eagles-Cardinals game. We got the 4-0 Eagles at the 2-2 Cardinals. Can you give us a little recap on the Eagles' Week 4 matchup?
Yeah, they versus the Jaguars at home. Doug Pearson coming back. He's on the Jaguars now. So, and then they went out big. Jaguars went out big, 14-0. But then the Eagles didn't get scared, didn't back down. They just dominated after that. Easily won. I really like this Eagles team now. They showed me that they have some resilience, that their defense actually showed up against a slightly good offense. So hopefully they keep that up for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and Jack, Eagles are the only undefeated team remaining in the NFL. A couple of their upcoming matchups, obviously the Cardinals, and they have the Cowboys, Steelers, Texans, Commanders. How long could this undefeated streak keep going?
I don't know with this Eagles team. I'm not that big on them, but I feel like it could end this week with the Cardinals with just some sporadic win. Like the Cardinals just do that. It could end any week. These undefeated teams, it's not really a thing anymore. It's very, very rare. I don't think the Eagles are going to do it.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting how we all pick the games later on. And going over to the Cardinals, it's a bit of an ambiguous question, but do we know what this Cardinals team is? Like, they're losing to bad teams, but they're beating good teams. Like, what's going on in Arizona?
I have no idea what's going on there. I mean, you got like Kyler Murray like running around like a little kid, and like you're just waiting for DeAndre Hopkins to come back. And like I said before, like for some reason this Cardinal team wins like weird games, so they could like just weirdly win this Eagles game, or they could just get blown out. Like you don't know what this team is going to do. I think just every fan is just waiting for DeAndre Hopkins to come back, so they see how their team is fully and how it all comes together for them.
Dude, what? I don't think you guys really realize how I feel like average D-Hop is gonna be this season. I feel like listen to me.
What?
I know Kyler loves D-Hop, but I think the only thing he's gonna do is draw so much attention to the fact that he used to be good, but now he's like 30. First of all, he's he has hands, but I feel like Hollywood Brown is the number one target on this team now, and I think people are doing a lot of overhyping D Hop. I think Kyler just needs to take some accountability and win these games. I don't think it's you can account these losses to D Hop being out. Come on.
There's a couple of things I want to unpack there, Saketh. You said D Hop is 30, so how much could he really do? 30 is not old for a wide receiver. I just want to put that out there. I think
30 is I'd say like a year or two
nearing the end of
now.
prime.
No, I'd say 30 is the prime of if you're a basketball player, but at football, 29, 30 is when you start to see things slow down.
Like, it's DeAndre Hopkins. Like, why do you have to doubt him? Like, if he comes back and doesn't do good, then good job on you. But don't doubt the guy, because then he's just going to go off, and then you're just going to be totally wrong.
Okay, well, according to our record, Jack, you're totally wrong, and I'm not.
Oof. Yeah, we'll get to once again. We're going to get to that at the end of the episode. We're going to move on to the last 4:00 game of the week. It's my Cowboys, of course, who are 3-1 at the LA Rams. For Dallas, is it a coincidence that the Cowboys are currently undefeated when Cooper Rush is the starting quarterback? I know I've been going flip-flop on this situation. Now it's a yes for me. He's been incredible for a backup. I want to reiterate that. He's been incredible for a backup. He still looks like an average quarterback out of all the quarterbacks in the league. Once again, amazing for a backup. But, I mean, just look at this offense, guys. They're 27th in points per game and 25th in yards per game. They are not winning these games because of Cooper Kupp. It's the defense that's winning them the games. The defense is third best in terms of points per game allowed and sixth best in yards per game allowed. So this team is still desperately in need of Dak Prescott to take the load off of the defense and let the offense win some games for a change.
Yeah, and I think if you're the Rams, offensively, a tactic might be making all the players wear white sleeves so that Matt Stafford might confuse them for Cooper Kupp. I'm saying that.
Yeah,
we don't want to get too far into that topic. That I'm actually going to get to that with the next prompt here. We don't want to unpack what Saketh just said there. So instead, I'll move on to my next prompt here. Sorry about that. The next prompt is: can the Rams passing game move forward like this, like Saketh said, which is really only targeting Cooper Kupp? For me, it's no. He has the fourth highest target percentage in the league. He's getting 31% of the targets. Allen Robinson, a guy who they just got in the offseason, people had a lot of high hopes, has the 87th highest target percentage in the league. His own teammate, Ben Skowronek, has a higher target percentage on his own team. Now, to be fair to Robinson, he hasn't played incredible in terms of getting open and finding the open lanes, but he definitely deserves more targets. Also, this O-line has been way better at the run blocking than the pass blocking. According to PFF, they are the 32nd best pass blocking unit in the NFL. That is the worst unit in the NFL, in other terms. And they are the 6th best run blocking unit. So maybe go to the run a little more often instead of just going strictly to Cooper Kupp. Also, Stafford is under pressure on 33% of his dropbacks. So the pass blocking, like I said before, is not working for the Rams, and that's severely affecting their pass game. So they can start rushing the ball more because they have the 8th most pass attempts in the NFL. Rushing the ball more. Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, those are some guys you want to see, because just throwing strictly to Cooper Kupp, defenses are getting used to it, and you can kind of see that they're starting to defend that well. That's why the Rams currently have their 2-2 record.
Yeah, I think the Rams really need to get this run game going. There's a lot of uncertainty in that backfield with who's going to get touches on a week-to-week basis, and they're in a committee right now, and it just doesn't feel like either one of these guys are really in a rhythm, I feel like, and really they don't have that guy in the backfield, and I think that's really doing a lot to this offense.
Definitely. We're going to move on to the Sunday night football game. Jack, you have the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 2-2, traveling to Baltimore against the Ravens, who are also 2-2. It's an interdivision matchup. for the Bengals, can they be considered AFC contenders now with their recent success?
I think they're totally considered AFC contenders. I've talked about this all the time that the first week they were an extra point away from winning, and then against the Cowboys, just minimal plays from winning that game. They should really be 4-0, just minimal mistakes on this team. I just really like how they've been playing the last 2 weeks. Burrow's back, and he's back on his train. Higgins is playing way better than Chase. But if they both play elite, that would be just amazing for this offense. So I think they should start mixing more and give them more TDs. That'll help out the offense, spread it out a little more. And the defense has looked amazing. So I think they're definitely contenders, and they could keep it this way and win this AFC North.
Yeah, it was a rocky start for the Bengals, but recent success. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think they could be contenders continuing on in the season. And for the Ravens side of things, could you give us a quick recap on what they went through last week?
Yeah, last week they started off with a good first half, went up 20-10 against the Bills, and then I just feel like everybody knew like they were playing conservative, and like the Bills would just come back, and like, it was just like the Bills game, even though they were up 20-10, they came back, scored no points to the second half. It was 20-20 towards the end of the fourth quarter. They had a chance. Lamar Jackson has a play, and he just throws it away. Bad pass by him. Jordan Poyer with the pick, and that ended the game for them. So Jackson needs to clean that up, play better under pressure. He did not look good there. So no, he still deserves a contract.
Yeah, and moving on to the Monday Night Football game. Will, you got not Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 1-3 at the Kansas City Chiefs. For the Raiders, does this offensive success just pretty much rely on Davante Adams' production at this point?
No. I mean, they're showing it with this guy Matt Collins. I hate him. He's so overrated. It's so aggravating watching Raiders game with him running on the field with his hair. I hate his haircut so much. But besides that, no, I don't think it relies on Davante Adams. I think it relies on Derek Carr figuring it out, though. I mean, Hunter Renfro's going unnoticed. Darren Waller's just so back and forth with, is Darren Waller going to actually have a good game? Or is he going to put up one catch for 12 yards and act like he's a no-name tight end? Like, it's just like outrageous, the fact that Davante Adams, he should not be the success of the team. He wasn't brought in to be the number one. Like, he's brought in to be the number one guy. He's brought in to bolster their team, not to take over the offense. And I think that they just need to start spreading the ball better. And we say it every week. And they little things, they're doing better, but they have so much more they can do on that offensive side. I don't think he's the number one target. I think they need to spread it better.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree more. Davante was brought in to bolster the offense, like you said, but now he's being brought in, and I feel like Carr feels like he has to target him, and now Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow are seeing severe declines from what they produced last year. So hopefully they can figure that out in Vegas. And for the Chiefs, to wrap up the preview, can you give us a quick recap of their Week 4 matchup against the Bucs?
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that's about it. He basically is just a dog. And, I mean, they played great. I didn't really watch much of this game. I think it was like a Sunday Night Football game. I was doing homework or something. But I did look back in. I mean, Mahomes had a great game. Tampa had an early mistake to kick off. They fumbled it. But, I mean, it was just like both sides played good football. It just ends up that Kansas City's a better team. They have a better quarterback. I mean, I don't know if they have a better offense. They don't have as many weapons as Tampa has, but they really played a good game. So, I mean, if you guys have something else to say about it, but that's all I've got.
I couldn't have said it better. Yeah, the Chiefs are going to be some real contenders at the end of the year. We pretty much say it during every week preview. That's going to wrap it up for the preview. We're going to get to some rapid fire picks that we will be going really quickly through, because if you couldn't tell, we are very tired right now. And if you made it to the end of this video with us, we really appreciate it. Real quick, here are the records. Me and Saketh are tied for first after 2 weeks. Jack is in third, Will in fourth, and Brian, once again, dearly missed, is
Brian's heating up. I don't know about this.
It's going to be interesting as we near the end of the season. So the Week 5 picks, here we go. Saketh, I'll start with you. The Giants at the Packers. Who do we have?
Packers, easy.
I got the Packers as well. Will,
Packers.
Jack.
That's a sweep. Packers.
All right, sweep for the Packers in London. For the 1 o'clock game, once again, Saketh, we have the Chargers 2-2 at the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, this is the Chargers all the way.
And I got the Chargers too. I think their defense takes a big step up.
Yeah, I don't want to second guess it. I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Chadwick convinced me. Give me the Chargers.
2 straight sweeps. All right, Saketh, right back to you. Bears 2-2 at the Minnesota Vikings, who are 3-1.
Yeah, Vikings, easy.
If we might have another sweep, I got the Vikings here too.
Vikings.
Will,
Yeah, but this is all
Vikings.
Jack.
Vikings.
All right, another game. Maybe
Bills
we see
game.
something different here. We got the Lions 1-3 at the New England Patriots 1-3. Saketh.
I got the Lions.
Yeah, you can't pick against them. Give me the Lions.
Lions.
Patriots.
There it is. All right, first different pick of the night. Saketh, Texans 0-3-1 at the Jacksonville Jaguars 2-2.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm taking Jacksonville as well.
Go
Yeah.
Jags.
Easy Jags. This is
Another sweep. Only one
Very
different
easy.
pick so far, and we're already halfway through the 1 o'clock slate. Saketh, Seahawks 2-2 at the New Orleans Saints 1-3.
Oh, this one's hard, but I'm gonna take the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I'll take the Seahawks with you there.
You know what? Can I switch my pick? I'll take the Saints.
Go for it, Saints. I'm still sticking with the Seahawks. Will.
I'm going with the Seahawks.
yeah. I love how Geno spreads the ball out to his tight end. So give me the Seahawks.
All right, next game we have likely another sweep. Dolphins 3-1 at the New York Jets 2-2. Saketh.
I got the Dolphins. Easy.
So do I. Dolphins.
I want to pick the Jets.
Go for it, Will. Change it up.
Can't. I just can't. The Jets are just they're gonna upset me. I gotta go with the Dolphins.
Oh, they just had 4 picks last game. You can't pick them.
No,
It's unfortunate. Jack.
Kenny Pickett stinks.
Yeah, I think the X factor is Sauce Gardner and how he covers Hill, and I just don't know if he has the speed with him. So I'll take the Dolphins.
And going right over to Kenny Pickett. Steelers 1-3 at the Buffalo Bills 3-1. Saketh.
I got the Bills.
I got the Bills in this one as well.
I'm gonna shock the world and go with the Bills.
There it is.
Yeah, Bills.
All right. Falcons 2-2 at the Bucks 2-2. Should be another sweep. I no one should pick the Falcons here.
What is
Come on.
happening?
Yeah, these are
Bucks.
some really one-sided matchups this week. I'm gonna go with
Not
the
a
Bucks.
great week of football this week, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I got the Bucks.
I mean,
Give
we
me the
start
Bucks.
off hot with the Colts.
Will, shut up.
Big 12-9
Will, are you taking the Bucks?
Bucks.
Jack.
Yeah, we're taking the Bucks. No.
All right, last game of the
Oh,
1
no.
o'clock slate. The Titans at 2-2 at the Commanders 1-3. We could see some even split here. Saketh, who do you have?
Yeah, ooh. I'm gonna go with the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Commanders in this one as well.
Yeah, Titans.
Will.
Titans.
Yeah, Will has to pick the Titans after they killed the Colts. So
Actually,
I mean,
that's true.
Commanders are bad.
I'm also picking the Titans.
Gotcha. 4 o'clock game. Saketh, the 49ers are 2-2, traveling to the Carolina Panthers, who are 1-3.
Like I said, this team is top 5. I got the Niners.
Well, not top 5, but I'm gonna take the Niners with you.
Yeah, top 5 or not. They're playing the Panthers. So Niners.
Jack.
I think Jack's going with the Niners. I think he froze.
We're gonna give Jack the
I think
Niners.
I'm back.
Do you
Oh.
like the Niners here, Jack?
I like the Niners there. Yes.
Of course you do.
Sorry.
Next game, we got the Eagles 4-0 at the Arizona Cardinals 2-2. Saketh.
Jack, I don't know what you were talking about earlier about the Cardinals might surprising, but I got the Eagles.
Yeah, Jack, you might be standing alone on this one. If you even do pick the Cardinals, I got the Eagles as well. Will.
Yeah, another rainy day, but Jalen Hurts is built for anything. Eagles.
Jack.
Oh no, I'm picking the Eagles. It's just like
Oh.
I just like the Cardinals are such a weird team.
Kick him off the
Like there's just a
broadcast.
sporadic team that they could just win this game.
Give us some content, Jack. What are we doing?
Snoozer.
No, I'm sticking with the Eagles. I want my record up.
Oh, come on now. All right. Last 4 o'clock game. Better be a clean sweep. We got the Cowboys 3-1 at the LA Rams 2-2. Saketh.
I hate to do it, but I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Cowboys as well. I agree with you there.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cowgirls.
What?
I'm
Will, I
doing
hate
it
when you do
again.
that.
Go Cowgirls.
If you're going to pick them, you call them the Cowboys. That's the only rule.
Cowgirls.
Wait, why did you all pick the Cowboys?
Go Tigers. Because
No, me and Saketh picked the Cowboys. Will didn't make his pick yet. Will,
Cow-
We'll pick the
Cowboys.
Cowgirls.
there it is. Jack, who you taking?
I'm taking the Rams. Like I thought that was easy.
no.
Easy. Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, the Rams are a bad
I'll
team.
take it. I'll take it.
Rams are a bad team, and the Cowboys are a top 5 team. What can I say? Sunday Night Football, we have the Bengals, who are 2-2, traveling to Baltimore Ravens, also 2-2. Saketh.
This one's hard. Give me the Ravens. No, actually, give me the Bengals. This Ravens secondary sucks.
Yeah, this is an incredible game. I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one.
I mean, let Russ cook, but he's not on that team, so go Bengals.
What?
I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
where
I'm
that came
picking-
from.
I'm
Jack, we're
picking-
going to
yeah,
move on to you.
see-
We'll let Will explain himself. Jack.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah,
Falcons lose. Sorry,
Kids, do your homework early. This is gonna be a great game. Give me the Bengals.
All right, so I'm the only one picking the Ravens there.
What's that?
Monday Night Football should be another clean sweep to end off the picks. The Las Vegas Raiders 1-3 at the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 3-1. Yeah,
This one's not hard. I got the
Just
Chiefs.
keep pick it. What a
yeah,
good
I
bet.
got the Chiefs in this one.
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
So that is going to do it for the episode. We apologize for the Friday Night Lights game affecting our voices, as well as the possible Falcon flu. Once again, we apologize for this episode. Might have not come out as good as the other ones, but we're still out here. We're still doing our best, making the picks, doing the
Do it
previews.
for Mr. Herring.
For Mr. Herring, of course. So for Will Kwiatkowski, Saketh Kodori, Jack Kemler, I'm Ben Chadwick. Thanks for tuning in.